Hey, welcome to Nick Saban Junior Sports Talk TV. Thank everyone for tuning in. Today, it's going to be a special show today. We're going to be talking about spring football practice. What's been going on the campus of Alabama. Let's get into it today. I got my man, Sutton Smith. He's a sports media major at Alabama, so he's able to tell us a lot of things that we don't know. Maybe we know. We don't know. Let's dive into it today. So, how you been doing today?
Doing well. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
I'm doing great. Thanks. I'm glad to have you. Thanks. Roll Tide to everybody in the chat. Waylon, Stephen Hicks, William Bride, Wolfman. Thank y'all for coming in today. So before we get started, could you explain to them like what is it that you do at Alabama? I said that you're a sport media major, but can you break it down to them?
Yeah, so I'm a senior at the University of Alabama. I'm studying journalism and digital media. I'll be going there, so I'll graduate in May, and then next year I'll be going into my master's program, which is also journalism and digital media. And so I'll be learning about how to, write sports stories, maybe some behind the scenes look in production, maybe on camera video and things like that. Just doing sports reporting. I'll be sports reporting for WVUA 23 next year as well, which is a local TV channel here in Tuscaloosa. So really excited about finishing up this semester and then getting into grad school in the fall.
Okay. It's going to be nice. I'm rooting for you. So let's jump into these questions, man. So I'm going to start off with this question. Last season, during this season, and after the season, what was the atmosphere like on campus? What was people saying? Because outside of the campus, we were highly disappointed as a fan base. So what was going on campus during all this last season?
Well, like you said, y'all Alabama fans were pretty disappointed with the way season went, which is crazy to say because 10-2 is about 120 different universities out there would love to say they can go 10-2. Return a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. But I think that's exactly why Alabama fans were so disappointed. It's because you did return a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback with an improved O-line. Now, we knew the receivers weren't going to be as good going in, but we did get Jermaine Burton, a transfer who, I expected really high things from him. It didn't turn out as we thought it would, but he'll be back this year. So he'll maybe make a bounce back season. But and the injury to Bryce Young, I definitely did change people's viewpoints on the season. Obviously, the Tennessee game was bounce of a ball game, didn't go our way. Then the LSU game, them going for 2 at the end was a big momentum shift for the season for us. But I thought we finished the season really well, and we're going to build on what we finished on going into this year. That Kansas State game was our best game that we played last year, and it just happened to happen the last game of the season. So I think we can build on that, and the atmosphere here is definitely there's a lot of excitement and anticipation going into the fall, and especially the spring game this upcoming in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. You mentioned Jermaine Burton. I'm going to say this about Jermaine Burton. I feel like he was trending upward towards the end of the season. I feel like he gotten a lot better towards the end of the season.
No, absolutely. During the Iron Bowl, we saw him make that deep play action catch on. I think it was one of the first sequences of the game, and you can tell just from that point on, his confidence changed. He started getting into a rhythm with Bryce. Now we know it did take him 12 games to get into a rhythm. But, he's got this whole offseason now where he can work with Jalen Milroe and Ty Simpson. He's got a new offensive coordinator, Tommy Rees. So I think he's just going to build on what he did last year. He's just gaining some confidence. So I'm really excited to see what he does this year. And he'll be kind of I think he'll be in a more smaller of a role than he was this past year with Malik Benson coming in. So not all the attention is going to have to be on Jermaine. Jermaine's not going to have to feel like he has to perform every game. He may get like 4 or 5 targets a game, and that's fine as long as whoever's playing quarterback's going to have to distribute the ball to our playmakers. So it's going to be more of a by committee this year, and definitely I think Jermaine is going to have a good season.
Yeah, I agree. So, what's the atmosphere like now on campus during this spring? What does everybody talk about on campus? What's the feel on campus now?
Well, I think the obvious go-to is the quarterback battle.
Mhm.
Everyone has their favorite at the position. I would say it's, if I had to say percentages, it's probably 80% or more want Ty Simpson to be the quarterback. But
Mhm.
then you got just Alabama fans who just want the best player, and I think that's what all Alabama fans should do. Is they just trust Nick Saban. I mean, he's deserving of the trust. He's certainly has been there, done that several times. So he'll put the
Mhm.
guy out there who gives us the best chance to win. Whether it's Jalen, whether it's Ty, I mean, it could be Eli Holstein. You never know at the end of the day. But everyone's very anticipated for the fall. It is a little slow now that it's in the spring, and especially since the basketball team, just finished their
Yeah.
season, had an awesome season. Didn't end up
Mhm.
like we wanted to, but it's kind of kicked back into, all right, we're about to get back into football. A-Day's coming up right around the corner, so very excited about this upcoming year here in Tuscaloosa.
Okay. Okay. So, coming into the spring, what is Coach Saban mold like?
Well, I think it's kind of just like any other season for him. He's gone on and talked about why he continues to coach, and I think he looks at it as this is a different team every year. We've got to find a different identity every year. Each season's a new one. You got new players, you got players that have left, you got new coaches. I mean, Saban knows that more than anyone. The coaching staff
Yeah.
turnover every year at Alabama is always insane. No college football team has to deal with it like we do.
No.
Um, I think what also lit a fire under Saban was, and it could have been one of the best things that happens to our 2023 team, was him being able to be on the sideline at the national championship game and have
Mhm.
David Pollock, a Georgia fan,
Mhm.
say in his face that Georgia has taken over the college
Yes.
football landscape.
Yes.
That that Saban, the look that Saban gave him, if looks could kill, Saban, that fire in him, I know, is brighter than it usually is, and he's ready to prove that he is the cream of the crop and the true. I mean, we all know he's the GOAT, but he
Yeah.
still is the best coach in college football. Kirby hasn't passed him.
Yeah. I agree. One of my buddies, Kangaroo Black, he does YouTube as well, and he did a video. He said he lost a couple of subscribers behind it, but he was saying that you cannot call Kirby Smart a great coach yet. And it was something I agree with. I was like, he's a good coach. He's the hottest coach right now. I'll even give him the best coach coming into the season. I said, but a great coach is too early for great. It's too early. He will potentially be a great, but it's too. I feel like it's too early for that.
Now, that might be where I disagree with you. I think Kirby is great. It truly takes someone great to win a national championship. There's not many out there. I mean, think
That's
about
true.
it. You've
And back
got
to back at the same time.
right, and you've got Saban, you've got Brian. Well, no, not Brian Kelly. You've got Jimbo. Jimbo's won one. I
Yeah.
think I wouldn't. I would say Jimbo's fell off a little bit. I would still categorize him as around greatness, just because he's a great recruiter. He's a really good X's and O's coach. It's kind of interesting to me that he hasn't really put it all together at A&M. That's someone
Mm-hmm.
to really watch too. But no, I think Kirby. I mean, he and Saban have separated themselves. No, I still think Saban's a little bit above him. Kirby's a little bit below, but they've separated themselves from the rest of college football
True.
for sure.
True. True. Okay. So, do the players seem more locked in the focus now?
I don't know if you caught Cameron Latu's tweet before the pro day, but he said I think he said something about how hungry they are, ready to prove that they're getting back to the Bama standard. I think he even predicted a national championship win. So coming off a disappointing season, they've got a lot to prove, but they've got to take it one game at a time. I don't know. I don't really know how you feel about if they are going to be able to live up to the Bama standard if they've lost it. I mean, how do you feel about? You think they've lost the Bama standard, or you think they're trying to get back to it?
I thought they're trying to get back to it because, especially with the recruiting in the NIL period and the recruiting class that we land, those type of athletes that we just picked up that's there on campus now, they easily could have won any college made a bargain to I want this, but most of them came out and said that no, we're here to bring back the Bama standard. We want to come to Alabama and be great. So with them saying that coming into the season, I feel like that the Bama standard is still here, and we're going to live up to Alabama expectations.
No, I definitely agree. And, a few of those people that are going to have to help us live up to that Bama standard are the new OC and DC that are coming in. Tommy Rees, new
Yes,
OC out of Notre Dame. Kevin Steele, new defensive coordinator coming from Miami. What did you think? What were your initial thoughts when they got hired?
I liked it, honestly. I really liked it because I do my research and I knew who Kevin Steele was in a way. I remember Tommy Rees as the quarterback at Notre Dame. And so you go back and do your homework. I initially liked it. Especially the Kevin Steele hire. Then when you go back and look at what Tommy Rees does on offense, I loved it after that. I really loved it after that. Like, I remember, I don't know if you're familiar with the dude, Uncle Lou from YouTube. He's a Georgia guy, but whatever. He did a video saying we hired a infant in the old shoe for offensive defensive coordinator, and I did a response video to it. He was like, "Come on, Bama fans, y'all wasn't talking about those two coaches just a week ago," and I said, "I agree." I said, but when we got the guys, I said it makes sense for what Nick Saban is trying to do for Alabama. I said, and like you said, they're going to be a big part of bringing back the Bama standard. But hey, Tommy Rees with the 12 personnel, then he's going to even throw some. He want to throw the tight ends in there. We're going to run the ball, and I feel like he's going to make quick, easy reads for whatever quarterback we decide to go with. He's going to scheme around whatever quarterback we decide to go with. So for that sake, Tommy Rees is going to be a home run. And like we were saying before the show, Kevin Steele, the icing on top of the cake for me was all the former Alabama players giving him praise. All of them saying that with Kevin Steele, those players are not going to be confused. They're going to know where to go. They're going to know what to do at all times. And he's going to bring back that toughness. And he holds accountability. He's not just going to, it's okay. No, he's going to hold you accountable for what you're supposed to do at all times.
No, I totally agree. As a student, I'm super excited about them coming in. I can't really think of a time besides them bringing Sarkisian back where I've been more excited about an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. But like you said about Steele, I was a little bit more excited to see Steele come back because of what those players were saying about him. You and me were talking before the show that I think it was may have been Javier Arenas that said, I hated him when I was there. I hated him. He was not. He wasn't there to be your friend. He was there to coach you up and toughen you up. And Javier Arenas was so glad that he was coached by Kevin Steele when he left because that left a really lasting impact on him. So he's got the sway from former players. They're all super excited talking about how they think the Bama standard is going to come back. And then you got Tommy Rees. He's an up and coming bright offensive mind. He's at Notre Dame. He's never had the kind of talent he's got around him now that he did at Notre Dame. I mean, Notre Dame never had anything close. I mean, think about who he was playing with at quarterback last year. Drew Pine. Drew Pine, I think was a 3-star quarterback, and they won 8 games with Drew Pine, which is impressive. Very impressive. He overperformed with that talent. That talent on offense that he had was not great. So, and going back and watching some of that Notre Dame film from last year, you can really tell that he did things that helped out each player to their own, play for their own strengths. He would address their strengths and then play to that rather than just go out there and run certain plays. And I think sometimes that's what Alabama fans would get mad with Bill O'Brien, because they would just he would kind of have a traditional style offense. Didn't really change much during the game. Just thought didn't make many halftime adjustments. Just kind of thought it would all work itself out. And with players like that, the caliber player at Alabama, sometimes that'll happen. but sometimes changes are necessary. And
Mm-hmm.
like you said, with the 12 personnel, I think we're gonna bulk up that line. We're gonna run the ball in between the hashes a lot more than we did last year.
Mm-hmm.
The running game is going to be heavily gone to, especially early, because of the inexperience we have at quarterback. And then just our running back room in general is very stacked this year. Really high on those guys. But I really do think he's going to be a great OC for us. Now, I wouldn't say compare him to Kiffin and Sarkisian just yet, because those guys, they're in a league of their own at the moment. But
Yeah,
Tommy Reese,
yeah.
go ahead.
And see what else too though, you can't like you said, you can't do that too, because they came with a different style of offense. That was when we had to change the offense up, because that's what colleges were going to, and you had to keep up with college then. But as we see with Georgia, you can go back to that style of offense and play bully ball again on offense. And with Kevin Steele with the 12 personnel, 2 tight ends, bulking up their offensive line, and you got 2 big tight ends out there all the time, I tell people that I said that creates a mismatch eventually, because either you're going to swap out your fast guys and try to put in the big guys, and then that's going to still put you in a disadvantage, because now you got the running back speed, or you're going to stay small and try to match the speed and get bullied by the big guys.
Yeah, no, and he's going to do that. I think he's really going to incorporate that masterfully into our offense. And like you said, when you were talking about Georgia's old style of bully ball that they've been playing recently, I mean, think about who they've won the national championship with 2 years in a row. I'm not saying Stetson Bennett is a bad quarterback by any stretch of the means. I think he's a good quarterback, but he is not Bryce Young. He's not a Heisman winning quarterback. Georgia has proved that if you just recruit well in the trenches, you get some good skill players around the guy. As long as that guy plays mistake-free football most of the time, you're going to win football games. So, and that's another beautiful thing I think Tommy Reese is going to bring. He's not going to ask these quarterbacks to go be Bryce Young, because if they try and do that, they're going to fail. Bryce Young is a once-in-a-generation type player. We may not ever see someone like that again at Alabama. Tommy Reese is going to be good at just letting these guys know, whether it's Jalen Milroe or Ty Simpson, go play your style of ball, be turnover-free, and just distribute the ball to the playmakers and let them do the rest of the work for you. Yes. I think that's the big message to the quarterback room going forward for this year. And also, I think it's great that Tommy Reese is still on the up-and-coming trajectory of his career. I mean, think about Bill O'Brien. He was a head coach before he was an offensive coordinator here at Alabama. Tommy Reese, this is his best job he's got so far in his career. And I think one day could be a head coaching candidate, whether for Alabama or just in general. I'm not saying that he will. We still got to think good about Saban while we've got him. I think one day he'll be a really good head coach. He's one of the brightest young minds in football right now, for sure.
Okay.
Oh, and one more thing. I want to say one more thing about Tommy Reese. I also think it's really notable that he turned down Brian Kelly's first year at LSU. He stayed at Notre Dame when there was going to be less talent there, and did not go to Baton Rouge. And now that when Saban comes calling, he knows that is, if he goes and performs well here and coaches well, he can get any job he wants.
Yep.
So I think that was a big deal that he turned down Brian Kelly to stay at Notre Dame an extra year, and then left Notre Dame to come to Alabama.
And a lot of people made a lot of jokes about Tommy Reese this, Tommy Reese that. And I told people, I said, if he does great, if he can so happen to win the national championship this year, I said, I guarantee you somebody's going to call him for a head coaching job, because that's how it is at Alabama. When it's a copycat league. When you do good, somebody wants something from your program. And everybody was talking about Tommy Reese, but if he so happened to come out and pull the national championship out there, somebody's going to try to get him. Somebody's going to try to pull him away after the first year.
Oh, absolutely agree. If we go out there this year and offense is lights out, I would not be surprised if he is a one and done and is a head coach somewhere. Would not be surprised.
Yeah. Yep. So as a fan base, we've been talking about Malik Benson a lot. We've been seeing a lot of clips from him in the pro day. Do you think he can possibly be the next great Alabama wide receiver? I know number-wise he can't be, but as far as impact-wise.
I don't think he will be. I know he will be. Benson is going to be a first-round draft pick. I know he will be. You heard it here first. This wide receiver room reminds me a little bit of the 2021 year. Not to the degree, they're not as top-heavy as they were in 2021. What I mean by that is John Mechie and Jameson Williams, they were outstanding. We all know that. We had Ajay Hall and Ja'Cory Brooks kind of in the wings. Shout out to Ajay Hall. I have no idea where he's playing college ball now. But anyway, but think about this. Behind Mechie and Williams that year, we didn't really have a third guy. Slade Bolden, we didn't really have a third guy we were too confident in that you're going to go out there and you're going to do a great job. Now, think about it this year. Ja'Cory Brooks is probably going to be our main possession receiver. He'll probably be the guy that gets the most targets. But I think Benson is that guy that's going to be able to take the top off the defense. But what's different about this season in 2021 is we've got guys behind Benson and we've got guys behind Brooks. Jermaine Burton will be that third guy. He was a number 2 guy when he was at Georgia back in 2021. He'll be the third guy. Then you've got Kobe Prentice, Isaiah Bond, and Kendrick Law, who's looking to be the 6th option at receiver, and Nick Saban's come out and call him a dog. That just goes to show you that this wide receiver room is loaded. Now, they may not have the biggest star. I think Benson will turn into one. May take him a few games. He may not come out as strong as J-Mo did back then. But I saw something that said his first snap of bowl practice before the Sugar Bowl, he was matched up against Kool-Aid. And he ran a vertical and just blew right by him. Yeah. So, I'm pretty excited about him. I don't know about you. What are your thoughts on Benson? I know you've probably been able to watch a few of his tape.
See, I was big on him from the get-go when we got him out of the transfer portal because I love football. So when I see his film from Hutchinson College, I think it was Hutchinson he came from. I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think. Yeah. I'm looking at how he runs routes, not the competition he playing against. I'm looking at how he's running routes and how he creates separation. I said, "Oh, this dude is going to be dangerous." Then, like you said, when he get in the bowl practice, he come practice for the bowl game. Automatically, we hear a lot of good things about Benson. We hear a lot of good things about him. So I'm like, that's a plus. Then what tells me a lot even more, you see him working out in a pro day with Bryce Young. Him and Bryce Young is not familiar like that. You know what I'm saying? So
for him, that says a lot too, doesn't it?
Yes, that says a lot for him to be working out in a pro day. That says a lot. Dawson, thank you for tuning in. Go Dogs, I guess. But yes, back to Benson. And go back to what you were saying about we didn't have nobody behind Mechie and Williamson. And Bill O'Brien, I'm going to say this about Bill O'Brien too. People thought I was crazy that first year with Bill O'Brien. Midway through the season, I was telling people, I said, Bill O'Brien does not know how to create in a moment. He does not know how to scheme for his system. And they thought I was crazy because we was doing great things. I said, Mechie and Williams is bailing this man out. I'm telling you this. Then we got a national championship. It showed. And people still, but I gave him the benefit of the doubt. So maybe it's just his first year, maybe. After the Texas game, everybody came to me like, remember what you were saying about Bill O'Brien last season? You're right. I said, I know it. I said, I know I love the offensive side of the ball. So I know how it shit looks. I know whether it's, you know what I'm saying, whether it's clicking or not. Yeah. I'm like, it was 3 players that bailed him out. Bryce Young, Williams, and Mechie. They bailed him out. It was just the talent of those 3 guys.
And shoot, I'll say in this year it showed even, and like you said, it showed even more. There's an advanced stat that they take called a broken play percentage, and that's kind of when the quarterback will run around and he has to create on his own. I think last year before the Iron Bowl we were around a 70% broken play percentage team. So that means in plays we were running last season, Bryce Young was having to create on his own, and it was going off the original play call. And if you go back and watch some of our games, you can really see it in the Sugar Bowl too.
Mm-hmm.
Bryce Young is directing traffic, telling
Yep.
people to go this way, go that way. So imagine if we didn't have Bryce Young, what would have happened? I mean,
Yes.
creating so much on his own, and to me, that just shows his greatness even more. Shoot, I mean, with what he dealt with last year, probably should have won the Heisman again. I mean, obviously, that's not going to happen when your team isn't performing as well and you don't have as many guys around you, and especially when you get hurt and you're out for a week and a half. But last year's performance for me was much more impressive than 2021. I mean, you take Bryce Young off the 2022 Alabama team, how many wins do you think we have?
Whoo!
I think it's maybe around 8. So, but I think we do lose a couple games in there if we don't have him. So his importance cannot be stressed enough.
Texas game, including the 2 losses that we had. Texas game, we would have lost. That's 3.
We would have lost that game if Quinn Ewers didn't get hurt. That wouldn't have even mattered.
Anyway,
yeah.
I've been saying that. I've been standing strong on that. If Quinn Ewers do not go down that game, we lose that game.
Oh, I was there, and it was different when he was out. The difference in the atmosphere when he came out of that game, the Texas fan base. I mean, they were still there, mentally and stuff. But when Hudson Card came in that game, you could tell it was just something different in the air when Quinn wasn't in there, and he really never recovered. But back to Bryce, yeah, like I said, probably the best quarterback I've ever seen with my own eyes is Bryce Young. I've never seen anyone better, and I don't know if Alabama fans will, or if they do, it'll be a long time. Because he was phenomenal.
And Eric D brought up another point that I was going to bring up. I was going to say Ole Miss too, Eric D. I said we was going to lose that game too if we didn't have Bryce.
Yeah.
I agree.
Sure. Yeah. Well, that'll take us into our next topic, the O-line. And I know that since you and me have just talked, and you weren't as high on them last year as I think I was. I thought there was much improvement from last year's O-line from the 2021, but I think we'll see even more this year. What do you think?
I agree with what you said. The last 2 seasons, I really don't think they looked the same as in the past. Last year was much improvement, especially towards the end of the year when Tyler Booker was in the game on a regular basis. When Tyler Booker was in the game, we knew Tyler Booker was in the game. Jesse Latham, he's going to lead that crew. Seth McLaughlin. Before I go any farther, I don't believe we're talking about Darian Dalcourt enough. I don't believe we're talking about talking about him enough. Like Seth McLaughlin, but I feel like he's going to push somebody. Don't be surprised if Dalcourt. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, just watching their spring practice so far, they've got Dalcourt working at left guard. And before spring practice even started, I said there's no way if Dalcourt comes back, he's going to start. Now, and I didn't say he'd start over McLaughlin because we knew McLaughlin since he's came in the 2021 Iron Bowl when he came in. The offensive line has been different. He's also he's probably going to be a captain this year for the team. He's a great leader. A lot of guys look up to him. He's going to anchor that O-line for us. But Dalcourt's getting a lot of looks at left guard. And I know just talking to other people here at Alabama, a lot of people thought that spot was going to go to Caden Proctor, the 5-star true freshman. But so far, Dalcourt is using his experience to show that he belongs on that starting offensive line. And I believe he'll keep that spot. And I think he's going to have a great season at left guard for us. And if McLaughlin gets hurt, we can always slide him over to center. So it's a great little plan we've got going there with the center position with McLaughlin and Dalcourt there. And then obviously we've got more than capable backups. Guards that can play tackles that can play guards. Yes. We're very versatile on the O-line, and I love that about this team.
So have you been seeing any particular offensive linemen step up?
Yes. Elijah Pritchett, he's going to be I think he's a redshirt sophomore this year. Carver High School guy, Columbus, Georgia.
Yes.
Where you and I are both from.
Yes.
So coaching staff really likes him at left tackle, and I was kind of surprised to hear that because J.C. Latham started last year at right tackle, and I thought he was going to be the guy that we kind of looked towards to fill in for Tyler Steen at left tackle this year, but through every practice this year, they've had J.C. Latham still at right tackle and Elijah Pritchett at left tackle, and he'll be protecting that blind side of the quarterback. So I think that shows a lot of confidence in a young man that hasn't played a lot. So I think he's really promising, looking like to be a really promising prospect for us. And then I just mentioned the 5-star Proctor. He's currently practicing as a backup tackle, but he can also move in and play guard, and he can probably play either side of the line. So barring if there's an injury, Proctor's that next guy. He's the 6th guy on the line.
Hey, so if you go back a couple of weeks, I did a series. I was doing a whole series about every position group, and I did one on the offensive line group. I love offensive lineman a lot because I was an offensive lineman, so I know that position. I love that position. I get mad when people badmouth offensive linemen and all that, but if you go back to the video, I said Elijah Pritchett on the left side. I had put Caden Proctor there at the guard position, Seth McLaughlin, Tyler Booker, and J.C. Latham. But because this is what I was saying early on the season, and it's good to know that you said even at practice he's still been working at the left tackle position. But it's about Darian Dalcourt, though. I tell people that don't be surprised if he starts, because if you think about it, the only thing that really was stopping him is injury, honestly, And when McLaughlin get in, the running pass block, and the run game got a whole lot better. But Elijah Pritchett, back to him, I tell people too, Elijah Pritchett would have pushed for playing time last season if not for the injury. He would have pushed for playing time.
Yeah, I think it would have been tough, especially bringing in Steen last year from Vanderbilt. They really wanted that veteran presence at left tackle. And people can say what they want about Steen. He wasn't. I mean, a lot of people would say he wasn't particularly impressive. I didn't really think he was going to come in and be a star. But I thought he would be a great little stopgap that we had, and he was. He served his purpose. I thought he had a pretty good season. We had a really young, inexperienced O-line last year, so him kind of coming in there and showing the guys, this is how you're supposed to go about doing things. Very smart player too. He went to Vanderbilt, so he's got to be smart to do that.
Fact.
But yeah, Pritchett's looking good, and I'm really excited to see what he can do for us this year. If he has a really good year, he's going to turn himself into quite a prospect.
Hey, one question on the offensive line. Do you know why Jadeveon Cohen transferred?
So that puzzled me a lot when he left, because I really liked him. He's another guy from the Tri-City area, Phoenix City, Alabama Central High School. Yeah. So I was really surprised that he went to Miami. I don't want to say exactly what I thought happened, but maybe he got some more opportunities at Miami than he was going to get at Alabama. How with the ever-changing NIL landscape.
I heard some things.
Yeah, so you never know what guys can be offered, and sometimes this year with him coming back, last year they kind of platooned at the guard spot. When they had Booker was just so good you couldn't really keep him off the field.
Yeah.
So I think that competition factor between Cohen and Booker, and maybe even Dalcourt, kind of drove him to transfer, because he may not have been able to play every down. Back in 2021, he was an every down guy. 2020, he was on the freshman or the all SEC freshman team in 2020, and he rarely played. He played tackle. So I think really it was just he wasn't for sure he was going to get to play every down this year. And at Miami, he's going to probably anchor that O-line. That he'll be a great addition for them. And they're looking for a big bounce back season. Had a lot of expectations last year with Mario Cristobal. So Mario Cristobal really hit a home run with that one.
Yeah. I like now one of the other recruits they got Samson Okafor. I think he was an Alabama we was looking at him at one point too. I forgot to do that. Samson something. He was a big guy. I think they call him Pancakes or something like that. Pancake.
Well,
but he was a big
Mario
guy.
So probably one of the best O-line coaches in the country. So why wouldn't you want to go play for him? I mean, I don't blame him. So, but
somebody asked me that. They were like, "If you're son," I was about to say somebody asked me that.
No, I was talking about this comment right here, talking about Steen winning the Outland. Yeah, I did have a lot of expectations for him. I mean, I thought that I thought he would really being the left tackle guarding the blind side. I thought it would be a big deal coming in from Vanderbilt that he would really anchor down the offensive line, and I thought the offensive line would be a little bit better than they were last year. But they weren't quite what we thought they would be. But hey, this year, I think they'll be even better than they were last year. So hopefully we'll just keep going on this upwards trajectory at O-line.
Yeah. Like I said, I was happy with the fact that we gave up less sacks than the first year. Imagine the sacks we gave up the year we actually got to the national championship. We gave up a lot of sacks that year. We gave up less sacks last year, and I said towards the end of the year they played lights out at the position. And so this leads me to the next part. What type of impact do you feel like Justice Hayes will make?
I think Justice Hayes is going to be an absolute stud at Alabama, and he may not make the biggest impact his freshman year, but that's okay because our running back room is stacked. Yeah. But I don't know if you've heard, Alabama fans probably have a little bit here and there, but there's some rumors going around that Jace McClellan has suffered an injury that could sideline him the rest of the spring. And we already know Richard Young isn't here yet. He'll enroll in summer. So we'll only have 5 guys on scholarship in the fall for running back, barring a late transfer. And Roydell Williams was still a little banged up after the 2022 season. He started spring ball, I think, in a black non-contact. Last practice he wasn't in one of those. So hopefully he's back, full healthy. But if Jace McClellan truly is out for the spring, and that's not confirmed, so we have no idea. But Justice Hayes is going to get more cracks with that one group and that 2 group, so he's going to get a lot more. He's going to face better competition. He's going to get more reps. It's only going to help him get better. And he's wowed the coaches since he's been in there. In spring practice, he was just like Malik Benson. When he was in there, the coaches were very impressed. I think he'll play a lot more than most people think he will. What are your opinions on the running back room this year?
Oh, I love the running back room. I love Richard Young. I love him as a recruit, and Justice Hayes. I love both of those guys. So I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna go back to Jace McClellan. I was telling people this last season, and this is my opinion. I felt like he still could have been running back 1, even with Jahmyr Gibbs on the team. But go back to Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien wasn't using him the way Jace needs to be used until towards the end of the season. Now you start feeding him the ball, we seen what we got out of Jason McClellan. So that's why I was saying that I felt like he could have been running back 1 easily still, but we know how that turned out. And Justice Hayes, he been showing this all season. He been showing me how hungry, how determined he is with his workouts. The kid body, he looks like he looks like he about to start his junior year. Yeah. He looks ready.
Unreal.
Ready for the season now.
Unreal.
He looks ready for the season now. My biggest question is Jamarion Miller. I was expecting, I was so mad that we wasn't putting the rock in his hand because when he got in for mop-up duty, we seen what he was able to do. So I wanted to see if you put him with the first team, will he do the same thing? And I really felt like he could. So, are you hearing any rumors about Jamarion Miller
No,
right
I
now?
totally agree. I totally agree with you. I think he's the best pure runner of the running back group. And if I could put it into perspective for Alabama fans, here's how I would say it. Let's look back at that 2019 running back room. We had Damian Harris, we had Bo Scarborough, we had Josh Jacobs, and Najee Harris. That's a loaded room, very loaded.
Mm-hmm.
And Brian Robinson was in that room, and
Yep.
he didn't play much. I think this is a perfect 2019 running back room comparison for this 2023 season.
Yeah.
When you think of Damian Harris, you think of a guy that can do it all. He could catch it, he could run it in between the tackles, he could run you over.
Right.
To me, that is Jace McClellan. Bo Scarborough, he's a guy that sneaky fast, but he was going to take it right to you up the middle. He was going to bulldoze you.
Yeah.
That's Jamarion Miller to me. Josh Jacobs, versatile back that could catch it out of the backfield, run you over if necessary, and run by you. To me, that's Justice Haynes. And then, not Najee Harris. To me, kind of the wild card. I made my comparison wrong. Josh Jacobs to me is Roydell Williams, and then Justice Haynes to me is Najee Harris. You know, he's the guy that is just the wild card of the group. Richard Young probably won't get on the field as much as kind of like Brian Robinson that 2019 year, but he's going to show how much he'll end up really getting a lot of practice, and he'll run that scout team. He'll be fine. Yeah. But Justice Haynes is that Najee Harris kind of wild card. We don't really know how great he's going to be until he kind of gets in the spotlight. But he's going to flash when he comes in the game. And Najee did that in 2019 when he came in. 2018 in the national championship game when Tua was coming in, he had a couple of drives there where he really helped us get it up and down the field. So I expect Justice Haynes to kind of have a similar situation to how Najee was in 2019.
Okay, let me go back to Jason McClellan too. You say this rumor about the injury. I was on Twitter today, and I don't know how true it is, but I kind of believe the dudes that I was in there in space with. They said that they had talked to his mom on Twitter and let her know, and said she was highly unaware of the injury. So I don't know how true it is. You know, like you said, it's unconfirmed and it's just a rumor. So, and they said she actually went off on, because they said they got it from Stephen M. Smith. Are you familiar with him?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
They said they got it. They say they heard it from there, and they say she really went at him on Twitter or something. Like I said, I don't know how true it is because I didn't see it and I wasn't in the space at the time. But no.
That's why you got to put your hand up and say allegedly.
Yeah.
The rumor has it allegedly.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
But I think that rumor has started since when UA typically releases their practice footage. Jace McClellan is nowhere to be found in any of the running back drills. They had Roydell Williams was leading the drills. It was Roydell, followed up by Jamarion and Justice Haynes. That was the drill. And I watched several of the videos, and Jace McClellan was nowhere to be found. Now, who's to say he can't be on a field doing something else then? But it is highly strange and unlikely that he's not with the running back room, So I think that's where that rumor kind of started.
Yeah. So another running back I have a question for. What type of impact do you think Roydell Williams provide for the group this season?
I think he'll be similar to what he was last year, more of a third down back. When they need a big push on maybe a third and 1, third and inches, fourth down, I think we'll see Roydell in the game a lot. And he's very powerful back. The thing I would like to see with him is, take care of the ball a little bit more. He's fumbled the ball a couple times last year, and I think he had a little fumble problem too in 2021. So I'd like to see him take care of the ball a little bit more. But he's another one that can catch and go out of the backfield.
Yeah,
and he'll be very valuable, I think, in third down situations for us this year.
Yeah, he's a great blocker too out of the backfield. He's a great blocker.
He's probably our best blocking running back.
Yes.
Is a thing that a lot of people don't give credit to running backs for, but that's a very big attribute to have, and certainly stuff that NFL scouts are looking for. We can go to another room. We've got a lot of highly touted prospects at tight end. Got a transfer in from Maryland, CJ Dupree. Flashing a lot at camp so far. How do you think he's going to impact our team this year?
I think he provides what Tommy Reese wants. And the reason why I'm expecting a lot out of the tight ends room, because go back to the hires. Like, got Tommy Reese that likes to use tight ends. Let's go to Joe Cox. We don't talk about him enough when we talk about the tight ends. Nick Saban said earlier, like, I think it was after the season, that Joe Cox is like one of the brightest young, talented offensive minds in a while. I think he's going to help put them up in the shape. So let's think about McNulty. Him and Tommy Reese, they worked together when they was with the Chargers and when they was at Notre Dame. He was a tight ends coach. And Whisenhunt, he coached tight ends on several different occasions. Even though he's a special assistant, but he's going to have his hands in, help trying to game plan, bouncing ideas off each other. So this is why I'm big on the tight ends room. So let's go to CJ Dupree. He did well at Maryland. I think he's coming to Alabama to, Alabama's Alabama, and to prove what he can do at Alabama. And with those hires, I think CJ Dupree will do an awesome job. He's going to help in the run blocking, and he's going to slip out and catch some passes and probably break some. He's a big athletic guy. I remember the Ohio State game. I remember he hurdled somebody, and he a big dude.
He truly is and can do it all tight end. And back to what you were saying about Tommy Reese. I mean, we've got evidence right now. Michael Mayer, one of the top tight ends in the upcoming NFL draft, Notre Dame guy. Reese really likes to use those tight ends. And we've got some young guys that are have bright futures. We've got Dupree coming in, and we've got guys with different skill sets. We have a very diverse tight end group. And that's what I think I'm very excited for to see is we've got Dupree, a guy that can kind of do it all. We've got Amari Niblack, a guy who's going to be a very good pass catcher. Kind of reminds me a lot of Jaleel Billingsley a little bit. And then you got Robbie Oots and Miles Kitzelman, who both are really good blockers, can play H-back if need be. And you've got younger guys like Elijah Brown and Danny Lewis and the freshman, I can't remember the freshman's name we got this past year. But we've got seven. Yeah, Ty Lockwood. Yeah, you're right. So we're 7 deep at the tight end position. And I'm really excited to see what Reese cooks up with them, because he's got a very good past record with tight ends. And I think that'll actually make it Alabama, as long as Reese is here, it'll make us high tight end prospects will really want to come and, play for Tommy Reese.
Yeah. Hey, did I see something last night about that big guy, that tight end? What is this, Duncan Robinson or something like that? Did I see he committed to USC last night?
I don't know. I don't know. He might have. I don't know.
I think I seen an image on Instagram or something like that. I was a little bit asleep, so I can't. I think I seen that, but I don't know. But yeah, I'm big on these tight ends, man. I'm expecting a lot from the tight ends. And I think we're going to game plan around those guys big time. Just because of the like I said, the hires. McNulty, Reese, Whisenhunt, those guys are, and Joe Cox, man. That dude. Speaking of Joe Cox, what are your thoughts on Joe Cox, man? What's the feel around him? Like around the campus of the football team about Joe Cox, because at one point I was hearing his name could possibly been took over for the OC job. I don't think it was a big buzz about it, but at one point I heard his name in there.
He was certainly in that conversation. I don't know if he was ever a serious contender, but it just goes to show you that Saban really likes his mind. And I think he's kind of like Tommy Reese. He's very up and coming. There's a lot left to show from him. Probably an offensive coordinator one day. But yeah, I think it's great that we have these guys that Saban really likes and values that are young, young and up and coming. I can't stress enough that Nick Saban and older guys going with kind of guys that aren't as proven as like Kevin Steele is, or guys like that. So I think that's a big thing for a guy like Joe Cox and Tommy Rees to have the GOAT vouching for you. So yeah, he's got a special teams background as well, so he can also help out in that.
Yeah.
We've got Coleman Hutzler, outside linebacker coach, also our special teams coach. I'm sure Coach Cox is helping him out. So yeah, he's very promising. Very promising. But I was going to get your take on this, and you stay with me here. So 2018, we had a tight end who was third in receiving on the team that year. Do you remember who that was?
Third in receiving.
He was third in receiving on our team that year, tight end. He just signed with the Cleveland Browns, actually, I think a couple days ago.
Oh, was it the 4-star?
No, he was he a 4-star like out of high school? Yeah, I think he was.
No, was it Miller 4-star?
No, Miller 4-star. No. It was Irv Smith. Irv Smith.
Irv Smith.
That is my comparison.
He signed with the Bengals.
He did. He signed with the
Bengals.
Or the Bengals. Okay, yeah, the Bengals. My bad. But yeah, I think Dupree is going to be the next Irv Smith. He may not be third in receiving, but he's going to have a huge impact in the receiving game this year.
Yeah, he said yes. Deuce Robinson committed to USC last night. I thought I seen that. Okay. Yeah. He was a big time tight end. Yeah. I thought Georgia was going to get him too.
Yeah. Well, we all have our opinions on this. Is probably the hottest topic, and it's always going to be the hottest topic when you have a Heisman winning quarterback go to the NFL draft. Alabama fans aren't afraid to mention who they like in this conversation. We were talking about this earlier, but got a quarterback competition this year. Don't ask Nick Saban who's going to start before the year. We asked Maria Taylor how that worked out for her. But who is the guy? If you had to go to Vegas right now and you're going to put $100 on a ticket, who is your guy? Jalen Milroe or Tom? Just for game one. I'm not saying to finish the season out.
Oh, I'm sticking with Milroe. I'm sticking with Milroe.
Milroe. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sticking with Milroe.
Why do you think that? Why do you think?
Hey, for one, we say Ty Simpson a lot, but we really the only tape we have seen him in is high school. We seen him small mop-up duty, the little spring game last season, but really we haven't seen nothing. And I look at the type of competition that both teams played in high school. Like Milroe played in Texas with high-level dudes. I think I think Ty Simpson might have played 4A high school, something like that.
2A. 2A private in Tennessee, which is not a lot of competition there. So
yes. I told people that. I said, if you go back and look at Ty Simpson's tape, I don't think he really played against a D1 contender at all his senior season in high school.
No.
Yeah. And I tell people, look at the tape. It's a lot of times when Ty Simpson in high school, he dropped his head and took off running as well. It was a lot of busted plays that made him look good as well, But I like Ty Simpson, but the way Jalen Milroe handled the Texas A&M game, he was a young dude. The way most young quarterbacks would have lost it with all the adversity he went through that game. But he held it together. He was able to win the game. It was tight, but he was able to hold it together and come out with a win. So I'm going with Milroe, man. I like Milroe.
I really like Ty too. And this, I think Milroe will start as well. I agree with you there. And a lot of Alabama fans make you kind of pick who you like. I like both guys.
Yeah.
I really like both guys. I think they both can contribute well this year. If one doesn't do well, the other is going to do fine. I'm really not as worried as much as everyone else is. I really do like Ty though. He's a great thrower, probably a better thrower than Milroe if I had to put my money on it. But Milroe, I think, will start game one, barring an injury or anything like that. His experience and skill set is just, to me, it's just too good to keep off the field. And especially with Tommy Rees, we've talked about his creativity a lot in this show already. I think
Yeah.
Bama fans will really be surprised at how improved Milroe's going to look this year. I even came up with a list of his pros, Ty Simpson's pros, and their cons as well. You
Okay.
can tell me how you feel about this. So I have on here that Milroe, very athletic, and that he
Mm-hmm.
showcases that when he just steps onto the practice field. You can tell. Very a dynamic runner, has great arm strength. He's got that experience in college that Ty Simpson doesn't have. He played 5A ball in Texas, which is in comparison to 2A private. That is a completely different sport. I mean, that's not even the same. Where Jalen Milroe played is 5A in Texas would be 7A Alabama or higher,
Yes.
7A in
Yes.
Georgia. The
Mm-hmm.
competition's unreal. Texas high school football is different. When people say that, they're not just saying it; they mean it.
Yes.
So he has the ability on short throws to be good, and a lot of people are like, oh, this is a short throw, it's a 5-yard throw. That's still not an easy throw to make in a high speed game in an SEC match, putting it right on the dot. And he's showed that he can do that several times. He did it against A&M, did against Arkansas, and his ability to extend plays is what I think will end up winning him this job. Ty can do it as
Yes.
well, but he is so fast. He's tough. If he can just hold on to that football, hold on with two hands, I know that was an issue him and Saban talked about last year and he's worked on, then the sky is the limit for Jalen Milroe. His potential is out of this world. But
Yeah.
some things that I think he should work on this offseason, deep ball accuracy. He only threw 3 or 4 last year in games, but he didn't complete any of them. It was a little bit overthrow, a little bit underthrow.
Yeah. Because one early in the season. One
Yeah,
early in the season, it should have been a touchdown pass to Christian Leary, honestly.
Yeah, but that's what happens when you're not the starter and you don't have the chemistry built up with those first team guys. I mean, you can expect things like that to happen. Decision making, that interception he threw right before halftime against A&M, kind of a head scratcher. Didn't really know what he was doing. A few times he came up in mop up duty, threw an interception. Didn't really know what he was doing. I think he was really just trying to force some balls in there just to, I guess help out his stance in the quarterback room. But I think now that he's out of Bryce Young's shadow and can truly take on a leadership role, Saban really likes him as a leader. I think he'll flourish, and I think he'll really flourish in this Tommy Rees offense.
I agree, and I make comparisons a lot, and I compare a lot to Georgia. Because right now, they on top of things. And I said this about Stetson Bennett. After the first year, he won the national championship. Well, after the year he won the national championship, a lot of Georgia fans, they still didn't want him as the quarterback in Athens. And I told them that, listen, Stetson Bennett is going to be different coming into the season. He's getting all the first team reps. Everything is going to be playing around him. He's going to be different coming into the season. The dude was different. Now, go back to the short throws like you were saying with Miro. He can make them, and it's hard to do even at the pace of the college game. So Stetson Bennett wasn't the big explosive quarterback like that. He wasn't just making flashy throws down there. It was a lot of Todd Monken getting the ball out of Stetson Bennett's hands, taking the reads away from him. Then that builds confidence for you to make that big play downfield later on. So later on in the season, Stetson Bennett looks like that guy. He's making the throws downfield later on in the season because what was done early in the season, it was a confidence builder. He had a swagger at the end. So now he picking people apart downfield and everything. He can make the throws in the tight windows at the end of the season because Todd can build confidence in him.
No, that's a great comparison. And and just like it benefited Stetson, I think it's going to benefit Jalen even more if he gets that nod to walk out on the field against Middle Tennessee first. But I think another thing that, and this is always something I've heard, and now that I've said now that this whole conversation with Milroe and Simpson's happened, a fan's best friend, a college football's fan's best friend is always the backup quarterback. And here's my thing with that. When the starting quarterback is struggling and fans call for the backup quarterback, and it's easier for Bama fans to do because of Tua, That is not going to happen. That is not the norm. A backup quarterback coming in and dominating is not the norm. We're not going to see that a lot, or maybe not even ever again. But to me, there is a reason why Ty Simpson didn't come in the game last year. I don't know what it is. It could be they just didn't have the experience. Saban might have wanted to go with the more tenured guy and Jalen Milroe. I mean, it could be something. It may not even be anything about his play. But then again, it could. And I think and especially the way that A&M game was going at halftime, we're looking at 2 or 3 turnovers for Jalen Milroe. So it could have been easy for Saban to say, okay, you're not getting it done. Here's Simpson. But we didn't see that. And to me, that was a big thing. Nick Saban was not telling us verbally, but showing us through his coaching that either A, Ty wasn't ready, or B, he had that much confidence in Jalen Milroe. So to me, that's something. Just looking at the way Saban coached that game speaks for itself in this quarterback controversy. And that you never know. Simpson's going to get better. They're both going to get better this offseason. Yeah. That's just how it is. They're both young guys.
Yes.
But to me, I think it's Milroe's job. And Saban's going to say it's competition. But I think Milroe's going to be that guy that walks out there.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. So let's move to the defense. Go ahead.
Nothing against Ty Simpson either. I think he's a great athlete, sneaky good athlete, great thrower of the ball. Just very unknown. Very unknown.
Yes. And like I tell people, like what you said, let's go back to Jalen Hurts and Blake Barnett. Coaching, let's talk about Saban's coaching. We all thought Blake Barnett was going to be it that year. It was too much for him. Yeah. And you seen it after that sack, that one play, you seen it in his eyes. And Saban knew to make the switch. Jalen Hurts get out there. What he do that series, he fumbled. But Jalen Hurts did not look rattled at all. So he stuck with him. And ever since then, he was doing his thing. Besides that year, he got benched for Tua, But that is Coach Saban coaching the game. That's coaching at his best.
Absolutely. And it takes guts to take out a starting quarterback. Maybe not as much as Blake Barnett, but a 26-2 starter in the national championship game, that takes some major guts. Yes. And it's not like Jalen Hurts was a bad quarterback. And like we said earlier when we were talking O-line and receiver, 120 teams would love to have Alabama's problems. They would beg to have the problems that we have. Yes. So it took guts to do that on the biggest stage, and that just is a testament to how good of a coach Nick Saban is.
Yeah, that's true. That's facts. That is facts. So, defensive side of the ball. What true freshman do you see on the defensive side of the ball that can make an immediate impact right away?
Well, I think the easy answer is Caleb Downs.
Okay.
Yeah, Caleb Downs is the easy answer. You and me were talking. I'm sure our listeners and viewers that are here have seen the clips that Alabama football has been posting on Twitter, and there was one that went viral. I think it was yesterday. It was a one-on-one play where Ja'Cory Brooks was running into the back corner of the end zone against Kool-Aid, and the ball was dropped in perfectly over the shoulder. Caught it, looked great throw. Jalen Milroe actually threw the pass. But what was lost in the background is if you zoom in and take a still shot, number 2 is out there running with the first team. And number 2 is true freshman Caleb Downs. And we're in the 4th practice of the year. You don't see true freshmen out there running with the ones. So Caleb Downs is going to be a different player. He's just built different. He's going to be a star from the second he hits the field. Now, could he have some growing pains? Absolutely. We start off with a tough passing team with Texas, the second game of the season. I'm sure they'll try and go after him being a true freshman. So, to me, it's Caleb Downs.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, I gotta back up real quick. Go back to the quarterback position. I'm gonna tell you one thing. I don't have nothing about the quarterbacks. It's just the one thing that I hate is when we do these in practice scrimmages. Then you hear the stats that we're here like Jalen Milroe threw 2 interceptions. Ty Simpson, he threw 2 touchdowns and he ran for 1. Everybody gonna be like, "See, I told you so. I told you so." And then the next scrimmage, you'll probably hear Ty Simpson threw 2 interceptions. Jalen Miro ran for 2 and threw for 1. Then you have the other. See, I tell you, like this what I hate about the quarterback competition in the spring, that we hear these little stats from the other.
No, yeah, you can't buy too much stock in what happens at practice, because we don't get front seat views to what goes on, how they run it. It can be simulated. We really don't know a lot. I see, going back to what we were just talking about, the true freshmen, Eric D with his comment, Caleb Downs and James Smith couldn't agree 100%. That was another guy I was going to ask you about. Highly touted 5-star defensive lineman. How do you think James Smith is going to fit in on this D-line this year?
Hey, James Smith, I think he has the qualities to be one of Alabama's next great defense linemen, man. I think he has those qualities. With him and Quay Russo, when I heard that there was a package deal in recruitment, I was so happy to hear Alabama was so high on the list. And I even was more happy that Auburn was not doing good at all, because I really feel like Auburn could have swayed them if they was doing good.
Yeah.
But James Smith, I think he's gonna be the next dude.
I totally agree with you. At practice, he's already running with the 2s at backup nose guard. The Jaheim Otis and James Smith combo is going to be one to watch for, especially since Otis is only a sophomore. So we'll have at least, probably 2 more years of this. I expect him to make a big impact on third downs and rush the quarterback when Otis isn't in there. So, I expect big things from James Smith this year.
Yeah. I like that dude. So, are you hearing anything about Keon Keeley?
So with Keon Keeley, it's a little different because he's not enrolling until summer. So we don't know much about him, how he's going to fit in. I don't know. We really don't know how much he's going to fit in. Great prospect. Super happy he decided to come here instead of Ohio State. But that outside linebacker room might be the deepest position group that we have. Dallas Turner and Chris Braswell returning. I think Chris returning is bigger than most people thought. He kind of got left in the shadows a little bit when Will was here. So having those 2 guys coming off the edge is going to give Alabama fans some Ryan Anderson, Tim Williams flashbacks. I really like that comparison for those 2 guys. But the depth behind them is even better. A guy not talked about a lot is Quandarius Robinson. He's made an impact, good and bad, on special teams. He's made an impact, good and bad, on special teams. He touched the ball on punt last year
against Tennessee.
Former 5-star recruit. I think he's going to really factor into the team this year. And then you've got Keanu Coate. He's been late, hit with so many injuries since he's been here, but he just looks like a dude. He's got that body style that you want. Very quick, powerful. And we all know Jeremiah Alexander out of Thompson High School. Going to be a big presence in the run, coming in off the edge with the run game. I think I'm probably more high on the outside linebacking position this year more than any other position, and which is crazy considering how good they were last year.
Hey, I'm glad you brought up Keanu Coate, because there's one dude I did a video about some of the recruits that we probably forgotten about, and Keanu Coate was one of them. And I was saying, I'm like, because that dude, he was supposed to be that dude, and I think he still could potentially be that dude. And you just said he has the body, but the injuries.
Bad luck. He's had some bad luck.
Yeah. So one question I want to ask you about: what are you hearing about Jeremy Pruitt?
Ever since Steele was hired, there hasn't been much talk about him. I think it's safe to say Alabama fans, I don't think we really – I'm very excited about our 2 coordinators. We've talked at length about them in this show, but I think both hires kind of came out of left field. I don't think Alabama fans were really expecting either one of these guys to be where they are right now. I think Jeremy Pruitt was the expectation at DC, and a lot of people weren't excited that he wasn't the guy. But what I say, trust Saban. Obviously, he deserves it. He deserves our respect. But I'm not sure exactly what's going on with him in the SEC. He faced all those punishments at Tennessee for paying players. So I'm not exactly sure his stance. And we heard rumors that he was cleared, but that had never been confirmed. So would I be surprised if I ever saw him again on the sidelines at Alabama? Absolutely not. But I wouldn't be surprised if he never did coach at Alabama again. But I'll be honest, I'm happy with the guys we got, and I think Alabama fans, should really think about the guys that we've got as very lucky to get these two very valued coaches on the sidelines this year.
Yeah. I know I seen something the other day, but I don't know how true that was. That said something about Pruitt was blocked or something. I seen it on Bama Hammer or something like that, but I don't know.
You can't always trust those because nothing's ever confirmed, so you can't always trust that. A lot of people think that Pruitt probably was one, besides Kirby, our second best defensive coordinator that we've had. But the way offense has changed, defense will never be the same. The way the spread offense has gone and has been taken in with guys like Josh Heupel and Kiffin, really innovating offenses in college football. Alabama fans just need to understand that defense will never be played the same way. Teams are going to score. That's just how it is in the new college football, especially with the way the rules are. They protect the receivers. They protect the quarterbacks. So we're never going to get those games again where it's 17-13 and we win on a goal line stand. That's not going to happen a ton. So I just think that Alabama fans need to get used to seeing a little point scored on us, but you can still be great defense and have points scored on you. But we talked before the show about the Bama standard, and I know that in plenty of your videos in the past, that's been addressed where it's not what it used to be. Ever since Pruitt left, how do you think Kevin Steele is the guy to come back in and instill that toughness in our players and get that Bama standard back? Do you think he's the guy to do it, or are you looking towards someone else?
I think he's the guy. I don't know how long term of the guy, but for now, I do really think he's going to be that guy because he's someone that worked with Saban before, knows what Nick Saban expects of the defense or whatever. That's why I feel like that is why he's in Tuscaloosa. He holds the players accountable, like you said about Javier Arenas. Somebody he recruited Javier Arenas. He said he hated Steele, but when these players look back at what Steele was implementing him in them was toughness. Reuben Foster, when he came back as a linebackers coach, Reuben Foster, Reggie Ragland, they have great linebackers at Alabama, had great things to say about him. So, yes, I think Steele is that guy. I think Steele is the dude.
And how do you feel about the new linebacking coach? I know we had Austin Armstrong from Southern Miss for a short time, probably like 3 weeks, and he's off to be the DC at Florida. But recently just hiring Robert Balla from Liberty, which I think is interesting that he was part of Hugh Freeze's staff last year, and now the head coach at Auburn. What do you think that it meant for Saban to take a piece of Freeze's staff away from him before he went over to Auburn with Robert Balla at the new linebacker coach? Okay.
He was somebody I didn't know about, so I really had to do homework on him. I didn't know who he was. But the thing that stuck out to me about him is he was top in tackles for loss, like top 3 or 5 for sacks and turnovers and stuff. So only thing I had said about that, I hope he can come bring some of that to Alabama, because we have not been getting at the quarterback, affecting the quarterback as good in the past. Well, these past couple years, turnovers. It was so weird not to see Alabama create turnovers last year. That was the weirdest thing to me as a fan. So I'm hoping that's what he could provide. There's still a lot of question marks with me, and him. But you know, it go to back to what you say all the time. Trust Saban. I trust Saban in this hire. And another thing was Hugh Freeze said something about he was jealous that he got him. My first question to that was, why didn't you bring him with you initially? That was
Well,
another question
also,
I had.
my thing is, did that mean Saban? I think because Saban would before he hired Armstrong, he had interviewed several other people, and I think Bala was one of those people. And reportedly, Freeze reportedly wanted him at Auburn. Coaching together at Liberty for a few years. It says a lot about Bala to leave a system that he was familiar with Freeze. He could have seamlessly, perfectly transitioned over to Auburn, but he went with a coach someplace else that he isn't familiar with. And I think that's it. And just like Tommy Reese, we talked about earlier, I think that says a lot about what it means to coach under Coach Saban and that tree that he's got, supplied himself with under. I think that goes to say a lot about him and Bala wanting to come in and try and make a difference. So I'm super excited about him as well. I don't think Saban made a bad hire. I really don't ever think Saban's made a bad hire. So I'm just, like you just said, trust him, and he's going to take us to the promised land.
And like I told people before about Saban, I said Saban just doesn't hire people just to fill a spot. Believe me, it's a thought process behind it.
Oh, yeah.
I tell people about, let's talk about the coaches and the coordinators again. When we hired Steele and Reese, people were like, oh, but the thing is, I realized people don't know these coaches. People don't know who they is. The first thing they do is Google them and then look at the last place and the last thing that they did, and they judge from there. They only know big names. These coaches know names that we're not even thinking about. That's nowhere near a fan's radar. They know way more than we do. We know. And with Robert Bala, he was one of those hires. But like I say, he knows way more about these coaches than we know. He knows way more about them than we know. So it's not just I need to fill a spot because Austin Armstrong's gone. This was a thought about hire. This was a thought of hire. So
every move that Saban makes is very carefully thought out. He's not going to just based off emotion going to go out and do something. So he thought all this through, when he made all these hires. So you've got to do that when you're operating at such a successful and prestigious program like he has. So and Bala is going to be coaching the linebacker room. I haven't been the biggest proponent and fan of the linebacker room over the past few years. But, you've just said you've been watching some of his tape. You've gone and researched him a little bit. What was your impression of how his linebackers played? And do you think that he can maybe take that transition from Liberty and bring that to Alabama?
And see, that's the other question mark I have about him, because we talk about Liberty and who they play. You was able to do it with Liberty, you was able to instill that in them. But now when you play even competition, I feel like he can probably instill it in them, but can you counter these opposing teams' offenses now? Because we're going to be playing good offenses now. We're not going to be playing whoever they play in their conference over there, or whoever they play over there. We're going to be playing a LSU, a Tennessee, Georgia might be playing potentially a Georgia. We're going to play teams with high-power offenses, and they can. So I want to see, can he counter his attacks if the game plan is not going his way? Can he adjust?
But you also got to think he's got the athletes now, so he's got.
That's what I do think about. Yes,
and we've got guys like Deontay Lawson coming back who is hurt this spring. He's not going to get a spring. But he should be back, according to Coach Saban, back for fall camp. Then we've got 2 transfers coming in. The number 2 JUCO, Justin Jefferson. They say he's an animal out there, super fast. Look kind of built like a safety playing linebacker, but he'll hit you hard. He'll get to you quick. And then obviously the Georgia transfer, Tresman Marshall. Who are you kind of looking for? Those 3 guys, I think Deontay Lawson's kind of got his spot locked down as the signal caller on defense. But are you looking more for a Tresman Marshall at the will, or are you looking more for Justin Jefferson?
Okay, I'm just go fan favorite in your question is Kendrick Blackshear. I want to see him. I like to see him, but I have been speaking highly on Tresman Marshall because of we don't go get players like it's a thought process. He came from Georgia. I guarantee you the terminology is the same. Expectations are the same. A lot of the lingo, everything is basically it mirrors each other. And he was somebody that we was recruiting in his high school process. One of the things that kept Marshall off the field was injuries. He's a good football player, but when you're at a program like Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, you get down on the depth chart. It's hard to climb back up. And
Yeah,
my opinion, again, yes, my opinion on this, I'm not saying he can be the Jameis Williams of the offense, but I feel like he can have that type of effect. Now with Justin Jefferson, with the speed he got, I think he's going to be somebody sneaky that can help come in and cover linebacker with his speed. Absolutely. I think that's why we get somebody like that, and his sideline speed is going to be like no other. Because with Kevin Steele, we're going to play the type of defense where we want to keep everything in front of us. We don't want nothing to get behind us. So we want Kevin Steele, he's going to want everything to stay in front of him and close in on it when the ball gets there. Close in fast. Because if you look at his past defenses, especially like Alabama and with the type of that's what it was. Close in fast. Keep it in front of you and close in fast when the ball gets there.
And I like what you said about Tresman Marshall. You know, Coach Saban has talked about with the new transfer portal age, if we're bringing a guy in, he's going to make an immediate impact. And I think that's the exact case here with Tresman Marshall. He's going to come in. He's going to be that starter right next to Deontay Lawson. He's a fifth-year senior, so he's going to be able to give a lot of leadership and insight to the younger guys that we've got at that position. But that, I know the fan favorite is Kendrick Blackshear. We all saw what he looked like coming out of high school, but I think he really reminds me of an Ali Cahoe type player, where he's really good on special teams. He's a great special teams gunner.
You brought up a name that I bet players forgot about.
yeah. I'm coming at you with the weird ones, but yeah, I think he's more of a guy that's going to make a special teams impact. But like you said, with Justin Jefferson, that speed covering is going to be such a big deal. I would look for him more on third downs to come in and kind of make when it's an obvious third down passing play. Justin Jefferson's more than likely going to be out on the field. Tresman Marshall is a player who's going to be able to fill those gaps in, though, and really hit you hard up the middle on the runs. Probably could cover as well. Not as good as Justin, but a guy I think I'm really most excited for Deontay Lawson. Really excited to see what he can do now that he's the alpha dog in that room. He kind of hasn't been with Toa being there, and Jalen Moody. They kind of moved him in and out every now and again, but I'm really looking for Deontay Lawson out of Mobile, Alabama, to really step it up this year and be that anchor on defense. So he'll be calling plays too. Kevin Steele's first play caller on defense. So I just want to get your opinion on Lawson. What do you think about him, and what do you think his outlook is for the 2023 season?
Oh, I think Lawson is going to be the dude. Honestly, I know why Toa played a lot, because Toa was really smart. And before I say what I'm about to say about Lawson, I'm a fan of him and Toa. But when I look back again at the season as a whole, I'm going to say this. Toa's the play caller. He had to help put people in the right position. People were confused. People didn't know. So I'm going to say all that did not help his linebacker. I think that contributed to him not having the best of. He wasn't awful, but he wasn't the Alabama linebacker that we expected. But I don't think him having the play call and put people in the right position and people still confused after the fact, I don't think they helped them at all. So let's go back to Deontay Lawson. I really feel like Deontay Lawson could have been that dude. He could have been a Toa too, but Toto, he was smart. Nick Saban had him out there for a reason because Toto was really smart. He knew the plays and all that. He knew how to call plays, whatever. So, but I really thought Deontay Lawson could have been that dude too.
Toto was the quarterback of the defense. I mean, that was his job, and he did it well. He was a little bit of a different receiver than we're used to, or linebacker than we're used to at Alabama. But I thought for when he came in, he did about how I thought he would do. So it's good to see him getting some good grades in the draft. He's looking to be a second-round draft pick. So wish nothing but the best to him. But now that we've kind of talked about every position at group on defense besides secondary, Tavarius Robinson going in his second year as a DB coach, and he'll do safeties and defensive backs this year. What do you think about the outlook for that group this year going in?
Before I got on this, I was on another Twitter. I was on a Twitter space. We were talking about Bama football, and the dude brought up a point that he liked the fact that Tavarius Robinson he's going to coach both cornerbacks and safeties. So everybody, because when you got two different coaches, they kind of might be they're on the same page, but they're probably teaching different things for. So as Robinson, the coach, the group as a whole, I agree with him. I think that's going to be a good thing because I look at the fact that we like to move players if need to be from safety to cornerback to safety. We like to do that. So with Tavarius Robinson coaching the secondary as a whole, I think that'll make it an easy transition for him to do that. So I think Tavarius Robinson is going to do very good. If you look at his SEC resume, his college football coaching resume, he has done good in several places. This is going to be his second year at Alabama. So I think Tavarius Robinson is going to do good with his job coaching the group as a whole.
And I think he's got a ton of talent there. A lot of young talent, a lot of young and improving talent. And I think that kind of scares a lot of Alabama fans. But I would say that does the opposite for me, especially with Caleb Downs coming in. We haven't seen a guy like this since Minka Fitzpatrick. He's going to make immediate impact on the defense. Probably I would have to say, going to be an SEC Freshman of the Year, future All-American. Eric D. I see Eric D's comment here. Sean Murphy is going to get on the field at some point. Eric D., you're absolutely right. Sean Murphy he's probably the backup signal caller to Deontay Lawson. I would definitely look out for him. I mean, I'm thinking Lawson probably has this year in college, and he's gone off to the NFL. So Sean Murphy's that next guy. But back to the secondary, it's always great to have a lockdown corner come back, and Kool-Aid McKinstry is definitely that into a T. Had a great sophomore season. I thought he had a great freshman year. He's only going to get better. I expect him to be a first-round draft pick, and I think Alabama Twitter posted something. Iron sharpens iron with Ja'Cory and Kool-Aid going against each other in practice. That is absolutely true. When you got guys like Ja'Cory and Malik Benson, those are two of the best receivers in the country that you're facing every day in practice. And, I mean, you're not going to face guys as good as them half the time or more than half the time in games that you play this year. So that's definitely benefiting Kool-Aid and Caleb Downs and Terry and Arnold. So.
So, to go back to what you just said about the iron sharpen iron, go back to former Bama players. That is one thing. There's one thing that they used to say all the time. Like, even with Jonathan Allen, those guys were saying that that's the best thing about playing at Alabama. You're going against the best in the country in practice every day. So when it came down to Saturdays, they were like, they had practices harder than most of their games because they was going against the Cam Robinsons and stuff like that. And, Cam Robinson going against the Jonathan Allens, those guys. So that's the best thing about Bama. But about this, I'll show you an image that I seen on Instagram today. They said they got Kool-Aid cornerback, at cornerback, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Terry Arnold is the other cornerback. They got Earl Little Jr. at the star, Malachi Moore, and Caleb Downs at the safety. What's
No,
your
yeah,
thoughts on that?
absolutely. I think Malachi Moore's versatility in that defense. He can play star if you need him to. He could play either safety position. He could play money if we're ever going in dime set. So I really like that.
Yeah,
He's kind of that guy we're going to look to for not only leadership but just he's kind of the Swiss Army knife, jack of all trades in that secondary. And you mentioned Terrian. I expect him to have a big bounce back season this year. He started off the year on the bench. He came in that Texas game and really locked down Xavier Worthy after Xavier Worthy was kind of going up and
yeah.
down the field on former Alabama, now Oregon defensive back Kyrie Jackson. So I'm looking for him to really have a bounce back year. And then we've heard so much about Earl Little really towards the end of the year, impressing in practice last year. So I'm excited to see him. But two other guys that I think are very underrated in that room that we could possibly see, and they could probably make contributions for us at the money spot. That's the dime package. It's Christian Story,
Yeah.
redshirt your Christian Story, and
Oh,
redshirt junior
yes.
Wes Robinson. Both of those guys are guys that have been here under Saban's tutelage for a while. In Christian's case, if Caleb Downs wasn't coming here, he'd probably be a starting safety. But just it's for him that we get such a talented guy, but he still has a chance to make a great impact at that position. Another interesting thing, an interesting fact about him, I don't know if you know this or not for Christian Story, but he played 1A ball in high school at Lynette. At Lynette High School,
Played both sides of the ball too.
he played quarterback for them, and he actually holds the record for the most passing yards in Alabama State history. And he's now a safety at the University of Alabama. So if that has to show you anything about how good of an athlete, yeah, and he's a great athlete. And if one of those guys was to go down, or if they wanted to put Malachi as star, I have the utmost confidence in Christian Story back there. Same thing with Jaquez Robinson at the money spot. I have confidence in both of those guys.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought Christian Story because I was going to bring him. I really was going to bring him up because let's go back to the 8A games, the last two 8A games. Hey, that dude was in the right. He's always in the right spot at the right time, making plays. And Christian Story, what he did, he played 1A ball. I keep up with him a lot because I'm actually from Phoenix City. So I kept up with Alabama football a lot. Alabama high school football a lot. So that dude was very athletic. He was different. And when he came to Alabama and he switched and he was playing safety, I was like, it was no doubt that I didn't think he could do it. I knew he could do it because he's very athletic. He is highly talented, and he's actually one of the dudes that I have high hopes for coming into the season.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And like I said, just unfortunate circumstances with Caleb Downs. I mean, not for us Alabama fans. We're going to be fine with all the talent that we've got, but yeah, for Christian, great athlete. Really looking to see what he can do. But kind of we're wrapping up the program here. I want to ask you, how important do you think it is for Coach Saban to make it back to the SEC championship and the playoffs and maybe even the national championship this year? Do you think that that's a must for him, or do you think that maybe his legacy kind of speaks for itself?
I think his legacy speaks for itself, but I still think it's important. But his legacy speaks for itself. It still won't hurt his legacy because even if he doesn't get to the Natty this year, I feel like we still making the playoff run. And a lot of people still doubt the fact that we can get to the Natty. But I tell people that I look at TCU with Sonny Dykes' first year as a head coach. He was able to do it. He was able to eat. Now, when he got to the championship, it was a massacre. But hey, that's the big turnaround. And with Nick Saban speaks for itself. Saban, he's the guy. He knows football. All his moves are thought moves. So he put the right people in the right place to be able to get to the playoffs and possibly a national championship.
Oh, absolutely. And like you said, in terms of Saban's legacy, making a national championship game a playoff is not important. You know, he solidified himself as the greatest of all time and of college football coaches. I like to always think it's awesome that Alabama fans have to argue amongst each other which one of our coaches is the best coach of all time. I mean, no other fan base can say that. Is it Bear Bryant? Is it Nick Saban? You know,
Yeah.
we have that. We're the only team that has that honor. So, and I think there's nobody on the planet that wants to get back there more than Saban. And like we talked about to start off the show,
Yeah.
You know, David Pollock and the likes of talking about how Kirby has surpassed him. I think that's really lit a fire into him this year. He wants it more than ever. But he'll tell you, you got to take it one game at a time, one step at a time. But you know, I think we definitely have the talent for the playoff push. And I expect that we make it this year. I think we'll come out of the West.
Yeah.
Win in the West. I think we'll go to the SEC championship game. Probably, I mean, depending on who we face there, I think Tennessee's going to have a really good season. A lot of people think they might take a step back, but I actually think they're going to take a step forward. I think they're gonna have a lot better of a season than most think they will. Georgia is going to have a great team like they always do. The problem with them is they don't really play anybody. Their toughest game is going to be at Tennessee. So, and besides that game, they don't really play anyone else. So they'll have kind of an easy path to Atlanta. But I definitely expect to be there at the end of the year, expect to be in that conversation. But we should as Alabama fans. I mean, we have the best coach,
Yeah.
some of the best players in the country. So
I said this as a Bama fan, and I told Waylon, the Godfather of the SEC, me and him talk on the phone a lot. That's my guy right there. And I told him, I said, as a Bama fan, I'm 34 years old, and people are like, this is crazy. I've been a Bama fan since 92. So 34 years, I was born in 89. And people are like, how in the world? Listen, my mom, my dad, my brother, we're all Alabama fans. And the reason why I say I was a Bama fan then, because the championship game when we played against Miami, that's when I was really aware of Alabama, because I remember, it's blurry as I don't know what, but I remember the play when George T, he ran across the field, took the ball from the guy. I just remember them going crazy in the house. I'm a baby, but it's so blurry, but I remember going crazy in the house. Then I saw people that I know from that time, like that's around me. When I say that, I showed them pictures from that time with me wearing my brother's big Alabama baseball jersey, his hats and his coats. I'm swallowed in it, but I've been a Bama fan for a long time. So I'm saying this says I remember good times, I remember the bad times, I remember the probation time. So therefore, as a Bama fan, I say I'm going back to being happy with just winning and not getting mad if we don't blow a team out no more. I'm getting back to being happy of just winning the game again, because Coach Saban even spoke about it when he first got here, that it was just enough to win the game. But now we got to blow people out for y'all to be satisfied. And I'm going back to being just being happy to win the game again. Just being happy to win.
And like you said, I'm only 21, so I've only been alive for two head coaches at Alabama, Mike DuBose and Nick Saban. And I don't remember either, or Shula, not DuBose, my bad. I don't remember the Shula age. I remember the first football game I ever watched as an Alabama fan that I can remember is the 08 SEC championship when we lost to Florida. So my journey as an Alabama fan kind of started on a losing note, but you know, my dad went to Alabama, and so that's why I wanted to come. I wanted to follow in his footsteps, and you know, grew up coming to games, so I love it here. But you know, all I'm used to is winning. I'm used to winning national championships since I started becoming a fan. So, and you know, I guess I could have fell in that crowd like you were saying, who wanted to blow everybody out. But now that I realize that the game is changing and that's not possible as much as it used to be, I am completely fine with just getting the win, just leaving with the win. And you know, I've learned to do that a lot more in the last couple of years, especially with the close games we've had on the road and at home. So.
Exactly. So, man, hey, thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you for your time, man. Thank you for your time. I'm looking forward to do a lot more work with you, man. I know you're a busy man.
I
I know you're
enjoyed
in
it,
school
man.
and stuff, but
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
looking
I
forward to
enjoyed it.
doing a
Looking
lot of work
forward.
with you, man.
Looking forward to keep going. And
Hey,
thanks for
guys,
having me on.
yes. Hey, guys, I need to make an announcement. So this channel right here, Nick Saban Junior Sports Talk TV, today was exactly 3 months. And guys, thank y'all so much. Y'all got me to 400 subscribers in 3 months. That is great. That is great numbers for 3 months. I have seen people with YouTube channels, and I seen them with it for 5 years, and they only have 40 some subscribers. So 400 in 3 months. Hey, I appreciate y'all so much. Make sure y'all like this. Make sure y'all share it. Hey, subscribe if you're a new viewer as well. Hey, look for more content come. Tommy Reed, Waylon, everybody in the comments, Linda P, William Bryant, Van Edwards, thank y'all for coming in. Everybody in the chat, thank y'all for tuning in. Hey, Tom, I'm gonna have you some Georgia content soon, man. I'm gonna have you some Georgia content. You know, I like to talk football. I like to talk football, so I'm gonna have you some Georgia content. So thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all show my man Sutton some love for coming in doing this thing, talking some great football talk. More content will be coming between us. Thank y'all for tuning in. It's been a first episode of the Nick Saban Jr. Sports Talk TV show. This is my first time actually going live on this channel. At one time, I had like up to 20 people in the chat for the first live. Hey, that's good. I like that. So, thank y'all for tuning in. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
And I'm out.